Malo was open a lot. Here you can see Enzo Fernandez taking a look up. Palmer would be tucked in that inside right position, and Maatsen would be closer to him. For some reason, Villa did not use one of their holding midfielders of Tielemans or McGinn to mark Palmer, but instead they just had Maatsen tuck in, and they left Gusto wide open, and Chelsea found him a lot in the first half. Same old story for Chelsea fans. They see the team playing very well in the first half, take a lead, and then throw it away in the second. Chelsea have now lost 15 points from winning positions this season. It's astonishing. And Enzo Maresca has been taking a lot of heat lately from Chelsea fans for what they feel is him being too dogmatic, that he does not make enough changes either from game to game or in game. The funny thing is, his approach to this game was to bring an entirely new formation we have not seen from him yet in his time at the club. And facing Unai Emery, who is a master tactician, it was going to be really interesting to see how the two matched up. So let's take a look at how all that went down. Chelsea went with three center backs, James, Tosin, and Colwill. They had Cucurella and Gusto sort of as the wing backs, Caicedo as the holding midfielder, Enzo as the box-to-box 8, Palmer and Nkunku as the 10s, and Neto as the 9. Now, what Chelsea did a lot of the time was Reece James would come into midfield to support Caicedo, Tosin and Colwill would shift a little bit over, and Cucurella would join the back line. This was on and off the ball, which obviously means there's something destabilized because Malo was playing wing back. He was going up and down, but there was no one really doing that on Chelsea's left side. Conversely, for Villa, they played with a back four of Mings, Konza, Cash, and Maatsen, Tielemans and McGinn as the two holding midfielders, clear double pivot, and Rodgers and Asensio were the two 10s. Then you had Ollie Watkins as a center forward, but then Ramsey was playing left wing, and as you can see, there is no right winger. They didn't play with one. So it was hilarious that this side of the pitch, neither team really attacked it all that much. The formations don't really mirror each other, so it was very interesting to see how the players were going to deal with this. All right, so one of the big calls Maresca had to make was who to play at center forward, and Pedro Neto is fast, he's a willing runner, and he can stretch defenses in the same way Nico Jackson can. And he did his role very, very well. So you can see here just the ability to stretch defense, Caicedo coming forward with the ball, Pedro Neto puts his arm up, he wants it through. Villa are a team that play with a high line, so you can do this. Also, you need a center forward who is going to bring others into play, be able to hold it up. Now, Pedro Neto's not a beast, he's not a giant guy, but he is quick and has a good touch on the ball. So Chalobah clears this out. Pedro Neto just bumps it off to Enzo Fernandez. And so as Fernandez comes forward here, the split through for Neto's run is open. Neto points, Fernandez plays it, and here Neto gets his shot blocked by Mings. And he was also a nuisance up front. Look here, a clearance from Colwill, and yeah, Tyrone Mings is going to win this header against Pedro Neto every single day, but at least Neto is engaging with him, bodying him, and so the header just sort of bounces down. Now, it's actually a good header from Mings right into Tielemans, but he doesn't see Reece James coming, who in the midfield instead of in the back line is able to help counterpress, wins the ball, Neto with a nice little flick, and then once again, he keeps his run going. Important from Neto that he makes the right decisions here. This is a winger, so you'd think he would just run out to the channel right away and get the ball wide because that's where he's comfortable. Well, Malo Gusto's already running up the side. Palmer plays the ball through to Gusto. He looks up, three Chelsea players in the penalty area, and Pedro Neto playing as your 9, right where he should be, basically out in front of the goal, a few yards out. So his running in behind was crucial in these opening stages, and this is the go-ahead goal. Caicedo gets the ball, wriggles away from Asensio, and he's able to look up to play a deep ball. Right here, Cole Palmer had made a run inside, and Ian Maatsen followed him. And Ian Maatsen, for much of the first half, did not know what to do. He basically would try and stay close to Palmer, but when he does that, he leaves a giant gap open behind him, and that's exactly where Neto runs, goes into the channel, he's able to take on Maatsen, beat him for pace, put the ball right in the 6-yard box, and Fernandez has an easy tap-in. Chelsea go up 1-0. Also good on the counterattack. Here, Mings gets a ball, turns it over, Reece James has it, immediately Neto's running, and he can start driving at the Villa back line. Now in this play, Palmer had overlapped him, so he plays Palmer in, and he keeps his run going, and he's free here, and if this ball from Palmer is just that little bit better, Neto is in with the ability to cut back looking for Nkunku or Fernandez. The ball clips Tyrone Mings' heels, and Neto is able to actually get there, wriggle free, and play the ball into Palmer again, who got a huge chance here. He evades McGinn first, little fake shot to make Mings close his legs and stop, then he pushes it out in front of him and shoots it. It hits Mings in the heel and goes wide. I mean, look at Martinez right here. He was praying that that would not go in. Now jumping into the second half, this is Tyrone Mings bursting into the middle. I have no idea why he did this. A huge mistake. Caicedo picks it up, plays it into Palmer, and Palmer releases it into Pedro Neto. If he continues to drive inside towards the goal, he may have the option of playing in Nkunku on the back post or shooting himself from a good angle, but his touch is really bad. It's way away from goal, cuts his angle off, and his shot on his weak foot is decent, but wide. Once again, that ability to stretch defenses, it makes Chelsea way less predictable. Look at Neto running off the back of Tyrone Mings, and the ball from Nkunku's very good. Neto gets in. So last clip of Neto here, and this, he doesn't even really touch the ball. It's just that his movements started to cause all kinds of issues. I don't know why Villa are pressing here. They have a 3-on-5. You're not going to get this ball, and Chelsea can easily break this line of pressure. Caicedo turns and looks forward. Now, Neto makes a run you can see from in to out, and he drags the center back with him. That allows Palmer to make that run in behind. The ball from Caicedo is perfect, and check this out. Palmer looks up, and Martinez is on the ground. He slipped and fell. Palmer's next step is with his right. He could scoop this over Martinez with his left, and Chelsea would go back in the lead. Instead, for some reason, he sort of hesitates, chops it back, almost falls down himself, still able to get the shot off and get it past Martinez, but it is blocked before it can go in, and that was Chelsea's final great opportunity. Now, Pedro Neto as the 9 was really important, but the other major thing that gave Chelsea so much joy was playing with wingbacks. Well, at least one. Malo was open a lot. Here you can see Enzo Fernandez taking a look up, and Gusto's wide open on the far side. Palmer would be tucked in that inside right position, and Maatsen would be closer to him. For some reason, Villa did not use one of their holding midfielders of Tielemans or McGinn to mark Palmer, but instead they just had Maatsen tuck in, and they left Gusto wide open. And Chelsea found him a lot in the first half. This is just 5 minutes in, right on his foot. Here, Cucurella plays the ball inside to Reece James. The outlet is the wingback once again, right to his feet. Here, Chelsea do a nice little bit of combining, and they draw a lot of Villa players over. I mean, there's 5 in this small area. Gusto, you can actually see completely open on the far side, comes into Caicedo, and once again, you can see Maatsen close to Palmer. And so sometimes he would step up a little bit to try and make sure that Chelsea couldn't get that ball through. But here, Reece James is going to turn around, look up, and because Maatsen has stepped up a little bit to get close to Palmer, he's now left a huge space behind him, and Reece James can ping a ball through. Once again, that movement of Palmer runs inside. Maatsen has to pay attention to him. Fernandez with the switch. Reece James receives, plays it back to Caicedo. This time, Jacob Ramsey is cutting the ball out to Malo Gusto, but there's a split open to Palmer, and because Maatsen is scared of getting the ball played over him, he gives Palmer space. Palmer plays it into Gusto. That 2v1 out there, Palmer and Gusto against Maatsen. Tosin looks up, Gusto makes the run. They were also able to get Gusto in when they broke through midfield, so here Caicedo driving forward. Villa are sort of just backing off, not picking people up. The ball gets played into Reece James. Gusto stays onside. The ball from Reece James is exquisite. Now this really should have been a goal. If Gusto plays this ball about shin height, Palmer can just tap this in, but because he plays it on the ground, it just sort of rolls and Martinez is able to collect it. Now Enzo Maresca had to be pleased with the way the team played in the first half, but I'm sure he was also very well aware of the fact that Villa had chances, and all of them came from silly errors, 2 or 3 in a row that would lead to Villa getting in, and he knew that as long as Chelsea were only 1 goal ahead, this game was totally wide open. So here, Chelsea in possession, Colwill has the ball, plays it into Reece James, and he's just not aware of Ramsey behind him, and so Ramsey sort of mugs him from behind. Asensio takes the ball from the front, and right away, Villa are off at Chelsea's back line. But as Tielemans plays this across, Chelsea get the first knee on it, and this is very important. If Gusto just dribbles a little bit wider and plays a little bit with Christopher Nkunku, Chelsea can get out. He can also dribble a little bit and allow Cucurella to give him some level of support. But he tries to do a nutmeg on John McGinn, and Villa recover the ball and are able to launch another attack. Jorgensen makes a save. That's good. Tosin with plenty of time, and he does that? I mean, this is ridiculous. It's 3 mistakes in the only looks Villa was getting in the first half. And then it's in the second where Chelsea made these kinds of mistakes and ended up giving up the game. Gusto has the ball here, brings it inside. He could go into Reece James if he wants to, but instead he decides, nah, I want to go to Caicedo. Square ball, and it's a little bit behind Caicedo, and Asensio reads it and gets it. Now, Caicedo does a great job here of winning this back and making a tackle, but he has to go for that second ball. And that is your holding midfielder way out of position. So when Villa win this ball and Asensio gets it, he's now on the run at Chelsea's back line. Here's the next mistake. Enzo Fernandez. He does not need to take down Asensio here. He just needs to keep running. Asensio is not the fastest player for Villa, and Chelsea actually have cover here, so there's no reason to foul him, but Fernandez does, takes the yellow card, and now Villa have a free kick. And here's the next double mistake. So the ball gets played in by Tielemans. Cucurella does very well to win the first header, and it drops down at the top of the box. Right here, Pedro Neto just turn, shield the ball, and get it out. Instead, he tries to sort of nod it down to Fernandez, who wasn't expecting it, and Villa are able to nip in and get it back. Cash is able to get by Cucurella a little too easily for my liking here. He just cuts inside of him, and now he's going to play the ball to Marcus Rashford at the back post. And Gusto, just kick this out, man. Just put this out over over the bar. Instead, he sort of tries to settle it. I'm not really sure. He doesn't commit to it enough. It drops down. Rashford pokes it across, and it's in the back of the net. Funny enough, for Gusto, he would get an opportunity to do the exact same thing just a minute later. Instead, this time, he finally does put it over the bar. So you're like, dude, if that had just happened a little earlier, who knows? Maybe they'd still be in the lead. But then Chelsea would go behind. And yes, this does end in a mistake by the goalkeeper, but it starts out earlier than that. So Enzo Fernandez here is looking for Palmer, and this is the right ball. If he hits this hard, maybe gets it off the ground, it goes into Palmer's path, no issues. But he hits it on the ground rolling, and it slows down. And now Maatsen's like, ooh, I can go get it. Maatsen's there first. Chelsea are under a lot more pressure. Malen is able to make the little run in behind, and Jorgensen does very well here. Gets himself really big, and it's really unfortunate for him because as this ball gets played back to Rashford and he crosses it to Asensio, this is not a great volley. It's just right at him. Look at that. Just get it in the breadbasket, man. Instead, it squirms through his hands, and it's 2-1. Now, look, it's a terrible result, but frankly, the performance, especially bringing in a completely new formation, was, I think, very impressive. They just are so prone to making mistakes, and then another one immediately after, which almost always leads to opportunities and goals for the other team. So I'm very much looking forward to see what Maresca does in the coming games. Either way, thanks for stopping by. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.